Is that blood spurting?
Yes.
Okay. Hey, Maniacs.
Hey! Sure is dusty in here. Maniacs.
There's a podcast I listen to that comes out really irregularly, like once every 3 or 4 months. And they always start, and we're back. I kind of feel like we should say that. And we're back.
I'm kind of like, do we do a podcast anymore?
Yes,
Yes.
we do.
The podcast is Mystery Maniacs. Mystery Maniacs is a comedy recap podcast dedicated to mystery TV. Each week we dig into an episode of a show, including the murders, the mayhem, the loonies, and everything else we love. This week, the King of Clubs.
Poirot, Season 1, Episode 9.
Our 203rd episode.
Woohoo!
I'm Mark.
I'm Sarah. Man, the month since we did our live show has been crazy. Up to today, it's crazy.
My friend Danish asked me what I did on Friday. I said, nothing.
Here's a little recap, okay? This is just a little quick summary of the last month in the lives of the Maniacs. Are you ready?
Yes.
So we did our Tea with the Maniacs live episode.
That was on April 27th, 2024, which feels like 4 months ago.
Yes, including the first 7 minutes where we had no sound for no reason whatsoever.
God.
That was fun and
I
stressful.
completely forgot about that until you mentioned it.
I'm sorry to bring that back to you. So school ended. 3 of our kids graduated.
Yes.
One of them moved from Washington, D.C. to Seattle, Washington.
Yes.
Can you move any further?
The country.
It was my birthday.
Yes.
Then it was Mother's Day.
Yes.
We got a new couch.
Yes.
We got rid of
had to assemble.
that we had to assemble.
And then we had to get rid of the other couch.
It came in so many boxes.
So many boxes.
We filled 2 dumpsters from our house.
Yes.
That was exciting.
We're really not trashy people, I promise.
Your mom got admitted to the hospital. She is out now
Yes.
and doing better.
She's doing better. And I went to Canada to see her.
You were away for 7 days.
I was only away for 5 days.
Approximately 2 hours after you left,
Yes.
I went to work, drove the car that you usually drive,
Yes.
which I call the jalopy.
We call the little car.
I call it the jalopy. Got out of the car and went into the back of the car to get a few things and realized the license plate was not up to date.
No.
It was not only expired, it was expired by 2 years.
2 years I had not paid the...
My husband forgot to renew the license plate
Which is...
for 2 years.
It still bothers me because...
I don't know how this happened.
I went through all my email. I went through all my tasks. Yes, I have an electronic list of my tasks.
I called him. Honey, are you aware of this? Is the sticker falling off or something? Surely you haven't forgotten to do this for 2 years. So then he's like, holy moly, how did that happen? Do you want me to turn around and come home? I'm like, no, go see your mom. Go, right? This car is only in Mark's name, so I can't do anything about it while he's gone, all right?
Luckily, I didn't worry at all.
No. I go in, tell one of my coworkers whose son is a policeman, and she says, oh, that's really bad. If you get pulled over, they'll impound your car and suspend your license for 6 months.
Yeah, but she also goaded you every time you drove it.
And I'm like, what?
I'm not sure if you could believe her.
I have to. So I spent a week basically creeping to work down the back roads of Bloomington on roads where I thought I wouldn't see a policeman. If there was an alley, I took it to and from work.
While I was in Canada, I had a good time in Canada, and actually relaxed and did some fun stuff.
And saw your mom and your siblings, and that was great.
Siblings
and lots of friends.
Yep.
Then you came home, and our cat promptly got very, very sick.
Very sick.
14-year-old Lucy, short for Lucifer, and we had to put her to sleep 2 days ago.
Yes.
So the whole house is incredibly upset about that.
Yes.
And we have to teach 2 kids how to drive this summer.
Yes.
let's make a podcast.
Yep. Seriously need to make this podcast.
I need this podcast. I need this hour and a half of laughing and not thinking about all the crap that I just listed off. It's been nuts.
You people at home must be like, oh, whatever. Everybody's got a busy life.
I think they do. I think everybody could make a list like that.
Yep. We made a video about it.
We make a video about it. Oh, and we also completely emptied the garage, which is Halloween zone.
Oh, 2 newsletters too. You forgot those.
Yeah, and I built a gigantic shelving unit that's 8 feet tall and 16 feet long, and reorganized the entire garage, hence the 2 dumpsters. I was really looking forward to let's just talk about Poirot for an hour. That would be fun.
Yes.
That'd be really fun.
We have a lot of new listeners. I think the reels that I've been dropping, you know, like the kids say with the Riz, has attracted some new listeners, both on the YouTubes and the other listeners. I can't believe you people. We had almost 7,000 downloads in the last month, and we haven't released an episode. You are all fantastic.
People are getting caught up.
Yeah.
Which is great. So if you're new, welcome. We're so happy to have you. There's a subreddit for us. Go on there. Yeah.
There was a whole discussion on the subreddit about listening to us in their sleep.
That's been a conversation on and off for forever.
I know. Danish was like, who listens to you 12 times? I'm like, a lot of people listen to us 12 times.
There's stuff that we've watched 12 times
because popular.
We fall asleep to shows on the laptop quite often.
We're kind of an internet thing.
You're just bragging to your friends now. We're famous, you know.
Just saying, we've made money from YouTube. Have you made any money from YouTube?
We've made $20 from YouTube.
No. we are about to get our 3rd check from YouTube.
Our 3rd $20 check?
No, our 3rd $100 check.
Whoa, wait a minute.
Yeah.
What are you doing with that money?
It just goes into the bank account.
Your bank account.
Yes.
That's convenient.
Do we really want to talk about that? Pet bills.
Yeah, our pet insurance. Mark takes the dog to the vet or picks up for very expensive medicine and then submits the insurance claim, and then they reimburse my bank account. I like how it works. It works out perfectly. So, long story short, welcome to the podcast. If you're new, we're so glad that you're here. We hope that you'll enjoy it. There's a big back catalog. Go dig in, join the subreddit, subscribe to the newsletter.
Some of our listeners asked if we had merch. We do have merch. It's available on our Spreadshirt, which is on all of the links and on our YouTube page.
We haven't released any new merch lately.
No.
I'd like to do that this summer, a couple of new things. So if you have demands, ideas, let me know.
Someone suggested, and we should talk about this very briefly. We know some of you would like us to cover Broken Wood, and we watched the first episode of Broken Wood about the dinosaurs.
The new season. Yeah.
And someone suggested we take the logo from Frodo's coffee van and put it on a T-shirt. Because it is what they do with Frodo's van, the coffee truck, in the dinosaur episode is fantastic.
Yeah. He even puts dinosaurs on his zarfs.
Yes.
If you don't know what a zarf is, it's that little sleeve that goes around a coffee cup.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite weird words.
And there has been a conspiracy going around. We weren't the first people to mention it, that the episode of Broken Wood mentions Bloomington, Indiana, where we are from, and Indiana University, where we both work. And we were like, oh, isn't that cute? And people were like, no, they love you.
They're sending you a
They're
signal.
sending you a signal.
You have to cover Broken Wood next.
We don't know what we're covering. We don't know what we're doing this afternoon.
We're winging it, people. But today we get to talk about King of Clubs.
So this is okay. It is impossible to not look at this episode based on its original air date, which is the 12th of March, 1989. It was a different time.
How does that impact a show set in the 30s?
The fact that the horrible Harvey Weinstein character isn't more horrible.
Reed Byrne?
Yeah.
Hey, doll, have you thought about my offer?
Let
me chew on a cigar.
His administrative assistant is weird. It's just strange.
Unfortunately, it's quite realistic.
Yes, and I wish I wish it could have done a little more with like had the administrative assistant and what's her name? Valerie talk.
Yeah.
Like she could have warned her about Reed Burn.
Sister to sister, they could have supported each other a bit.
Because I've heard women talk.
We do. Men talk too, though.
So that's true.
Men can be quite catty.
So March
saying.
1989, directed by Rennie Rye and written by Michael Baker. We start in the desert.
I have to say, I remember when this aired the first time.
You do?
Yeah.
Wow.
I do. Because I would have been a freshman in high school, and I remember my mom and I looking forward to David Suchet's Poirot.
Yes.
And I specifically remember this episode because I find the plot kind of disappointing.
I don't think it was being shown in Canada. The people I was hanging around with would have wanted to watch this. I don't know why we didn't.
I will always remember the first time I saw the Edward Gorey opening for PBS Mystery.
I know we
Mystery.
watched Mystery.
With the little lady
So
on the
I don't
roof.
know. I don't know why we didn't watch this, and we might not have got it in Canada. It's weird. So boy,
6 people in this episode have been in Midsummer, by the way.
Wow, yeah. And Sean Petrie, who I'm like,
Pertwee.
isn't he in Midsummer?
Yes.
Oh, he is. Oh, I didn't know he was.
Oh,
in.
no, I'm sorry. No.
He's not in Midsummer, but he's the kind of guy who should be in Midsummer.
His dad, though, was John Pertwee, and he was the third Doctor Who.
Yes.
The one who really launched the scarf.
Yes. Imagine growing up as a kid and having Doctor Who as your dad.
Wow.
That would be super cool.
Well, that's a cool acting family that touches this episode, but not anything close to Neve Cusack.
Yes.
Cusack, sorry.
Yeah.
Who plays Valerie.
Who is the
She's
sister
Mrs.
of-
M's sister.
Yeah, Sosha
Cusack.
Cusack's sister.
Yeah.
And you can see, as soon as you say that, you're like,
Oh, yeah. They got the same face.
Yeah.
And their other sister is married to Jeremy Irons.
Yes.
And like the whole family, the whole Cusack family.
That must be
I would love to
interesting
know
dinner
whether
parties.
John Cusack, the American actor, is related to
And
them.
his sister, Joan Cusack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're related.
I don't know. It'd be interesting to know. Boy, I'm going to say this yet again because it's season 1 of Poirot. There's a lot of extras and money in this episode.
Yeah.
There's a horse.
Yeah.
Horses are expensive, man. Especially a horse inside.
And just the insurance around having a horse
Yeah.
on set. Like, what if it kicks somebody in the head or something, you know?
And we have this weird...
Not that horses are prone to do that.
We
but-
have this weird framing because it's movie magic time.
Oh, we're making a movie.
So it
we're on a
pans
weird
back,
soundstage.
and we find out that the desert is painted and that there's flames, open flames.
Yeah. In front of a matte painting to make it look like the desert is so hot.
Which I'm like, the open flames around that film at that point in time would have been like, don't do that.
Yeah, let's not. They are not in a silent movie.
No,
But
it's
they
in
are
the 30s.
But they are in a black and white movie.
They're in a black and white movie.
and
that's
yet
not-
they overact like they're in a silent movie.
This is the transition out of silent movies to talkies.
Mm-hmm.
Like it took them a while to figure it out. It was like CGI in the 90s. Everybody was like, oh, it's not good.
I'm fascinated by what they had to do to make black and white movies look normal.
Well, they had a whole different makeup, right?
It's incredibly different. Like every color on a human's face would have looked weird. Like to make your lips look red, you wore green lipstick.
Yeah.
And their eyeshadow was like super blue, and their blush was blue to make their cheeks look rosy. You wore blue.
Well, when you see film from this period of normal people, not movie stars, they look gaunt.
Yeah, they look super washed out and like shadowy.
Yep. And then when you see the movie stars, they look all beautiful because they're wearing different makeup.
Yeah. And tons of it.
Yes.
I mean,
tons of
everybody
it.
wears tons of makeup on camera, but we're going to post a link. I found a great TikTok video of a woman who really knows what she's talking about. And she does her makeup. She draws a line down the center of her face.
Oh, that's
And she
cool.
does one side in the traditional like 20s, 30s makeup style. And she does the other side for black and white.
Oh,
And
cool.
shows you the difference. And then she shows her face in black and white.
Oh, that's super
And
cool.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I'll
she
definitely
looks like a freaky zombie.
I'll put that in the show notes for sure.
And then you go black and white, and she looks beautiful.
Yes.
It's weird. Makeup artists must have just, I don't know, wore black and white goggles or something when they did makeup. They'd want to.
Okay, Reedburn is horrible. He's blackmailing her.
Yeah.
Okay. He's screaming on the set. He's a bad boss.
He's not the director
He's
of the
not
movie. He shouldn't
director.
even be there.
He shouldn't even be there. But he's kind of right that she counts to 5 really fast.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And he's totally right that Ralph is super drunk, can't remember his lines, and can't act.
Yes.
Did you notice that Hastings almost runs over a guy when they pull into the studio gates?
Does indeed almost run into a guy. And the suits on the security guys.
They are really official.
They have like
Belgian military or something.
Belgian military.
They have epaulets. They have the cords. They have gloves on. Hats.
Like the security guys are kind of crazy.
They're very formal security guys.
Let's take a short break. So Poirot and Hastings are there to see Bunny,
Who's actually the director of the movie.
actually the director.
He's an old friend of Hastings.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Old boy.
Bunny has got to be a public school nickname.
Lots of network here. Old boy network.
But then the prince shows up.
Yeah. So he's the prince of what country does he
Morania.
say? Morania. Yeah, that's a made up place.
Totally.
In the story, he talks about the emperor and his older brother. So he's second in line to the throne here. He's like the young playboy son.
That's not all that far away, though.
No, I
mean,
don't think
dad
so.
gets old, you bump your brother off, and you're in charge.
And you're kind of talking about like he's still called Your Highness, and Poirot is like talks to him like he was in a case with him.
Yeah. Like Poirot's done something for the royal family to avoid a scandal.
Now, in a later Poirot episode, there's a horrible prince. Mm-hmm. I keep getting these two guys mixed up. Even though
gosh.
one is horrible and one has a horrible apartment.
The other one is like the Prince of Egypt.
Yeah. It's
And
Egypt.
he's a spoiled brat.
Yes.
Who throws a giant ruby around.
Yes. Paul doesn't seem to be that spoiled, except for...
His horrible room.
We'll get to it.
Oh, it's so bad.
So Reedburn gets the actress in his office.
He says he wants to see Valerie alone.
Yes, and he's horrible. He's like, what have you thought about my proposal?
He's trying to put the moochy moves on her.
And
He's
just
blackmailing her. And you're
like-
just looking at movie posters in the
I'm
background.
just looking at movie posters. In the background, there's La Cucaracha.
La Cucaracha.
Which
Which
is-
is the cockroach, right?
Yes. A 1934 short. Senor Martinez, a famous theater owner, visits a local cafe in Mexico because of a reputation for good food and the addition of a famous dancer who performs there.
Okay, I don't want to associate La Cucaracha and a restaurant.
Neither do I.
Good
but
food and cockroaches don't go together.
1934
Is he
short.
the cockroach?
I don't know.
Is she the cockroach?
I do not know.
Okay.
Okay.
I was interested in the Wax Museum mystery.
Let me get to Corsair first,
Why do you got to do them in that order?
because Corsair has probably the best single sentence
Okay. Synopsis?
synopsis as possible. Are you
Okay,
ready for this?
I'm ready.
A stockbroker plans to liven up his boring life by taking up piracy on the high seas.
A totally normal second career.
Yes, absolutely. And then finally, the mystery of the Wax Museum from 1933.
Which, I'm sorry, it just looks like an excuse to have a lot of naked boobies in movie posters.
It's Fay Ray.
Because they're wax.
Yeah, Fay
they don't
Ray was
count.
already, unfortunately, pegged as a woman who would show too much skin. So.
It's not her.
Yeah.
It's not her.
It's not?
It's a Betty Page looking woman. She's got black hair with short bangs.
Yes.
And they've apparently the main character, the evil wax guy, murders women and then molds their bodies in wax so he can capture them forever.
It's pre-code. Do you know what rating it is on IMDb? Mm-hmm. So not the star rating, but like R or PG.
No.
Passed. So it's pre-Hays Code stuff.
It got through.
And it got through.
There are boobies on the posters.
Yeah.
But they're wax boobies.
The new version of this movie, it's been restored beautifully and colorized by the George Lucas Family Foundation.
That's cool.
The trailer for it on IMDb is just beautiful.
But none of this matters because all I can look at is Valerie's jacket.
You mean the furry fur town of Furville?
It looks like it has... Okay, so if you didn't notice it, first of all, we'll put a picture up of it. But think about the jackets that were really popular in the late 80s, like the Bon Jovi jackets that had the leather fringe.
Yes.
On like a jean jacket, right? That went like in a V from the front across the shoulders and then across the back.
I'm halfway there.
You're living on a prayer.
Yep.
Valerie is living in a jacket where that fringe has been replaced with like rat tails.
Yep. Furry rat tails.
They're gross.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. I'm sure it's accurate to the period. It's nasty. It looks like mouse butts on a jacket.
Yes.
Hundreds of them.
Don't call me Henry. I have a nice lighter. It's one of those gigantic lighters.
Reed Byrne is the worst.
But Paul's reading Pictorial Weekly.
I don't know what he sees in her. And, you know, he's financially supporting the production of the movie.
Yep.
But if they get married, she doesn't have to work.
No.
So, I don't know.
It's weird. Let us all go to the house that's white in England that is for all Art Deco storylines.
This is not the same house that we see in other Poirot episodes where we have a white Art Deco house.
Pretty darn close.
But they're all very close when they're built in this era. But Reed Byrne has colored light bulbs inside. There's
green and red. It's Christmas at the Reed Byrnes.
His whole house is like a set. It's really weird.
The fountain in the center of the house. In the foyer.
With the dogs next to it. That looks like a kiddie pool with plastic leaves around it.
And the giant statues. The thing about the fountain is we see it in one shot and then we don't hear it or see it again. Because obviously the sound guy went, no.
Half the people who were in that shot immediately had to go pee because that sound makes everybody do that.
They're watching the dailies. That's what they're called. And the two most contradictory words come out of Reed Byrne's mouth. Sex appeal.
When they come out of his mouth.
Yes. There's the wild demon that is in the way of women.
Bunny has an amazing sweater on.
Bunny's clothes are kind of cool.
Yeah, his sweater is great. Yeah. Hastings has a really good sweater on when they go to visit the studio. Yes. It's like a cable knit, but you have to have a giraffe neck like he does to be able to pull that sweater off.
So let's go over the timeline really closely here. So Bunny and Reed Byrne are there. Mm-hmm. And then Bunny leaves. And he's almost run over by Ralph.
Bunny has to put on his giant fur coat first.
Wow, it's such a big fur coat.
How many animals died for that coat?
I don't know.
At least 3 bears to make that coat.
And it makes him not fit in his car.
It barely fits in his car.
And his car, if you watch really closely, his car doesn't work all that well.
No, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So Bunny's there watching the dailies. He leaves.
Yes.
At like 9:30.
Something like that.
Something like that. He leaves. Meanwhile, Valerie has gotten in a cab, it's raining, and gets dropped off at the gate of Reed Byrne's house, sees Bunny leave, and then rushes up to the house in the rain, getting her big bow wet.
But what we know is Valerie's brother is waiting outside of Reed Byrne's office, I guess.
Ronnie.
And goes in to see him as they drive past
Ralph.
The tramp camp.
Oh. They refer to them as gypsies. Again,
Yes.
it ages this. They're travelers.
Yes.
We'll call them travelers. Soon they're going to be shoeless travelers. Jap.
Jap is so... He's fun in this episode, but he's there for relief.
So Valerie finds Reedburn dead, runs out, goes to a nearby house.
The Oglanders.
Oglanders.
What a weird name.
They call the police.
Yes.
And then Paul, His Highness, wakes up Poirot and says, we need your help.
Okay, Poirot from his sleep where he's lying on his back with his hands folded in front of him.
And his slippers strategically placed next to the bed.
Everything is perfect.
Yes, he always sleeps like that. Every time we see him, it's like that.
But we have to talk about Paul's room.
What a nightmare Paul's room is.
What is Paul's
It's like
room?
he lives on a stage, okay? It's like a sound stage that they've turned into a bedroom.
So I'm looking at the picture right now. All of the furniture is white and gold.
Yes.
Which is a problem right away.
It's totally Marie Antoinette looking furniture.
Matches the phone, which is black and gold.
And his robe.
And his robe.
But the walls
Are
what I don't understand.
blue stripes and polka dots.
It's like graffiti.
Yeah.
It looks like
it's
somebody
re-
spray painted the walls with blue spray paint in a big wavy pattern and then put little dots in between the lines. It looks totally slapdash. The floor is like a polished white. Everything is away from the walls. It looks like a set.
And there's a chair right beside the bed that you would run into if you got out of bed.
Every time you got in and out.
Every single time you got in and out of bed.
I just don't understand.
It's so...
like they could have hung curtains all the way around.
Yeah.
And it would have looked more like an actual bedroom. I don't know what they were thinking. I don't know if they had to like fill it in later. Like we need this phone call. We've got to put Paul in something. Let's just go to a soundstage.
Yeah.
We'll put some furniture in there and have him talk on the phone. It's just bizarre. If I'm Valerie and I'm marrying this guy, I'm like, okay, number one, after we get married, this room, we're changing this.
Speaking of weird rooms and things in weird rooms, two things. One, first of all, Reedburn has the same pictures in his office that he has in his office at home.
All the headshots are
All
the
the
same.
headshots are exactly the same. But more importantly is the world's most uncomfortable chairs.
Well, it's clear that Reedburn has money but no taste whatsoever. The world's most uncomfortable chairs, which also become murder weapons, are cubes of marble
Yes.
with a cushion on them.
With a bad cushion on them. Like you would slip off that instantaneously.
It looks like an old beat up cushion from a different chair.
Yeah.
Oh, and gold lions glued to the front.
Yeah.
They are bizarre.
Never mind the red lights in... it's just...
Everything about it is tacky.
That chair, without a doubt, is 200 pounds.
Oh, way
If
more than that.
Not more than that.
500 pounds at least. And there's two of them and they have the sharpest angles. Why he hit his head on the lion and not on the edge of the arm of the chair, which would absolutely put your eye out.
There are clearly no toddlers at
Oh, you don't think
Reedburn's.
Reedburn has toddlers come over to play?
I don't think so.
I don't think children have ever been in this house. I don't think Reedburn would allow children to be within 100 feet of him. He's a jerk.
So the idea is that we have to keep discretion, and we'll come back to this because it's problematic.
His house is called Mont Desir.
Yes.
It's the mountain of desire. Do you need to know anything else about him?
Well, he's got Peter Frampton as his butler. I'm Frampton. Peter Frampton.
Do you feel like I do? That's the only Peter Frampton song I know.
Wow. I know what you were going for, but that is the worst Peter Frampton.
Oh, can you do better?
No.
Okay, then.
No.
Then mine's better than yours. Do you feel?
So then Poirot and Hastings come and ruin every crime scene in this episode. They are horrendous. They touch everything. He might as well have stuck his finger in the blood and smeared it around a little bit. He steals the evidence of the playing card later on. He's so bad at keeping the crime scene in this episode.
I think Poirot knows this isn't actually a murder from the very beginning.
Oh, I think so.
And doesn't care about forensics.
No.
They didn't really have him anyway. But he knows none of this is going to court almost immediately. What I found funny was that Peter Frampton runs straight over to the body and Jap says, "Don't touch that."
Yeah.
That, not, no, don't touch him, sir.
No.
Like, the man you work for is dead. You're clearly upset. Even if he's a jerk, you work for him. You're going to be upset. Don't touch that. That being that man.
That man.
Who's been dead for like an hour. He's probably still warm. Don't touch that. But
wait for Poirot to get here and touch it.
The interplay, no, the body's already gone when they get there. The interplay between Jap and Poirot in this episode is funny because
it is the best thing about the episode.
Poirot is flattering to Jap.
Yep.
To keep him on side.
Yep.
Because Poirot knows there's no real crime to solve.
No.
But Jap is gracious too.
Yes.
You know, like, because he knows. But initially when he comes in, he's like, "Oh, it's you again." And you think, is Jap going to be confrontational? Well, and then, no, not.
And then he goes to the Willows to talk to the Oglanders. And the first thing they say is the police told us not to touch everything in this room. And what does Poirot do?
Touch everything.
Touches everything in the room.
If the police told you that a room of your house was potentially part of a crime and you should leave it alone and not move anything, is that where you would have visitors wait?
I do not think so.
No, you put them in the dining room or something.
Nosy Belgian ones.
But the Oglanders are completely up to a big conspiracy.
Yes.
And they know it. They're all involved. And as soon as Poirot shows up, Mama Oglander certainly knows the jig is going to be up. This guy is going to figure us out.
Yeah. I think she knows that it's all going to fall apart pretty quickly. My daughter died, drowned. It's really sad.
We don't talk about her. We don't remember her name or anything.
She's upstairs.
We cut a hole in all of our pictures where she used to be.
No, we're all wrong. It's somebody with hobnail boots.
Oh, it's one of those travelers did it.
Jap and the gypsies.
Yeah. Dirty hobnail boots, obviously.
Yep.
Duh.
Clearly.
Even the children have to give up their boots. Come on.
Yeah.
Jap, really? Tag them and bag them. Those poor people had to go without shoes until they showed them all to Valerie. Are these the shoes? Are these the shoes? Are these the shoes?
So
at least she had the decency to say no to all of them and not frame a poor person who had nothing to do with it.
And this is like, okay, so this is what we are led to believe. We're led to believe that this starlet is just so upset by what she sees. She runs screaming into the night. Ah! Right? Finds the next house over where they're playing bridge, because they're always playing bridge, with 51 cards. And they go in the house and they say, "That's sorry, let's call the police and your fiance. Oh, you can stay here now."
4 days.
4 days. We had an extra room, so we gave it to you.
We couldn't just send for a cab or your fiance come and get you and take you home to your home.
Strangely enough, all the clothes in that room fit you.
Okay, let's just talk about what supposedly happened. Okay, we're a spoiler podcast. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Reed Byrne was killed in an accident when Ronnie punched him in the face and he fell and hit his head. Okay.
Yes.
Really, it's the cover-up that is interesting here. And frankly, I still don't know exactly what happened.
Yes.
All right.
It is because we see her leave the house and then we see a man leave the house.
It's Ronnie.
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to give you the rundown, I think.
Okay.
And then you tell me if you agree.
Okay.
Reed Byrne confronts Valerie at the studios and says, "You need to come to my house tonight."
Yes. For the nookie, or I'm going to tell your fiance that your dad's a bad dude.
Yes. To discuss the blackmail.
Yes.
Okay. So she has to go, but she knows she shouldn't be alone with Reed Byrne. She's promised Paul that she won't be.
Yes.
Right? So she arranges with her brother,
To be
who just lives next door. What do you know?
What do you know? Played by Sean Pertwee.
It's not Pee Wee or Purdy or...
Did you see what his first credit was? I don't know if you looked it up. He's in Prick Up Your Ears with everyone else.
Oh. Did you know the guy who plays Wreck-It Ralph, the drunk actor, is Zoe Wanamaker's husband?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's
interesting.
Ariadne's husband.
That's interesting.
Okay, anyway.
Yes.
Valerie arranges with Ronnie. Ronnie, you come over, stand outside these French doors. I'm going to talk to him. If things get bad, come in.
Yes.
I might need your help. Right?
One would call that some pre-planning.
I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt, all right? That she doesn't want to. I wouldn't want to be alone with him.
No, I wouldn't want to be alone with him either.
She confronts him.
I wouldn't want to be in the same room as those chairs.
No.
I'm scared of them.
They get to arguing about the blackmail. Ronnie feels like she's unsafe, so he comes in. He confronts Reedburn. They get in a fight.
Gives him the punch.
He punches Reedburn right between the eyes, apparently, on his nose. And Reedburn falls back, hits his head on the lion, not the sharp part, the dull lion part, busts his head open and dies, okay? Is that blood spurting?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the siblings panic, right?
And they all go back.
No. They need to make it look like it was a murder.
Yes.
Why?
I don't know. I don't know. That man was unsafe by himself in that room with those chairs.
Yeah. What they could have done right then and there is left. Nobody had seen them come or go. They could have left, said nothing, done nothing. Frampton would have found Reedburn the next day.
Yep. Nobody. Frampton's like, there's women through here all the time.
Nobody would have known what happened. Okay. But for some reason, they feel like everybody's going to know that Valerie was there. So we need a more believable story.
Yes.
So they move the body next to the other window where if she had been standing there, she would have seen the willows. And that's why she ran there after finding the body.
Who are supposedly playing cards. But we see that they're not playing cards.
Not downstairs to find Frampton and say, call the police. He's dead.
No.
Right?
No.
She's willing to admit she was there and found the body, but has to run away.
I guess.
I don't get it.
No.
So she runs next door, which happens to be her family's house, but we don't know that yet. Tells them the guy next door is dead. Call the police.
Well, no. Okay.
Right. This is what we're supposed to believe she did.
Yes. We're supposed to believe that.
And her whole family says, great, we'll give you an alibi. We knew you and Ronnie were going over there to confront him. We'll pretend we were playing cards and you just came to the window.
It sucks to be a parent when your children come home and say, we accidentally murdered the neighbor who was blackmailing us.
I guess we got to pretend we were playing cards again.
Get the cards out.
Even though Dad appears to have had a stroke and doesn't speak or walk, but he can play bridge.
We've played lots of rubbers.
I hate that they call them rubbers. Why can't they just be rounds? Why do they have to be rubbers?
We've had 4 Glan Slams.
Glan Slans.
Glan Slams.
I don't understand bridge. We've talked about that before. Anyway, you were saying.
So they have to explain that they killed him. And then they come up with this idea.
Yeah. I assume that the family knows Ronnie's going to meet her next door.
I would assume so.
Right.
Where's Ronnie? Well, he's pushing Dad around the backyard.
So they know their neighbor is a jerk.
Yep.
They know he's blackmailing their daughter, who they pretend is dead.
It's important to leave your evidence lying around as Poirot disturbs the crime scene.
Yes. So they pretend they were playing cards because they couldn't have just been sitting in the living room doing individual activities.
No.
When Valerie came to the window and they let her in and she says, there's been a murder next door. Oh my gosh.
And the thing is, this mirrors 2 things. One, it mirrors the Sherlock Holmes where the guy shows up at the window, sees the family playing bridge, and they're all freaking out.
Yes.
So it mirrors
But he doesn't know what's happening to them.
And obviously...
And then they're all dead.
That would have been in Christie's idea.
Yeah.
Second of all, this is really like a lot of her short stories, this is a preview for the Jewel Thief episode where, remember, there's a tramp and Hastings is searching for the tramp.
Yeah.
And the Duchess is all involved. I think this is a precursor for that story.
They're also creating an alibi for Ronnie.
Yes.
Right? Because nobody wants Ronnie to get in trouble.
No.
I think he's young. I think he's like 18 or something.
He's so young in this.
But I think he's supposed to be young. So they don't want him to get in trouble. So by everybody saying we were all here playing cards. Did you recognize the mother, by the way? Mrs.
She seems
Oglander.
really familiar.
She plays Mary Sharp, the old nanny in Badger's Drift.
That's right.
She's the one who reveals to Barnaby that the siblings were doing the
incestuous bingmabob.
So I don't think the whole family like contrived the whole plot in advance. I think it's a reaction to, crap, Ronnie killed him. We've got to cover this up. But if Ronnie had just gone home and she had gone to the other house, none of this needed to happen.
None of this needed to happen. Just like in the middle of a crime scene, in the middle of a murder investigation, Hastings wants to talk about modern art.
It is a weird piece of art.
It's a weird...
And I love the way he explains it.
But it is...
It's all physics and stuff, but they're all off their rocker on booze and drugs anyway, so who knows what they're saying.
It's such a weird part. It's such... Like,
did you notice that the big figure on the wall is holding a tinier one?
Yes.
It's strange. I wonder if somebody made that for the episode or if it's an actual piece of art.
I don't know.
That is in that space already. I don't know.
Hey, Bunny, did you happen to see Ralph's boots as he drove past you? What kind of question is that?
Hey, when you're drunk, you drive with your feet out the window. Woohoo!
And there was a missing card. It's not missing. I stole it.
I have it. What?
Go see Ralph at the hospital.
Reed Byrne's desk at home is very cool.
Yeah, it is.
It's like arched on the top, and when you open it, it has all of these like stacked compartments that are all curved. It's really neat and full of blackmail.
So then, okay, so Hastings and Bunny are off at the cottage hospital talking to Ralph. So they're gone. Rennie Rye must have had the day off, and David Lynch goes, I know I'm in England. So I'll come and direct the weirdest encounter ever between Poirot and the son and the father
on the
road.
That is very strange.
It is so David Lynchy. It's weird.
I interpret that scene where Poirot walks past Ronnie and the dad, and then they look back at each other as, we know you know, and we really hope you're going to keep our secret. Please keep our secret. I think that is...
It's just filmed really weird.
A pleading, understanding look, and Poirot gives a nod and walks on like, you're safe with me.
So
should they be? No.
Poirot goes to the house, explains everything. The mom's like, yeah, we did it. Sean comes in and goes, that French guy's going to know that we did it.
You mean Ronnie?
Yeah.
Yeah. And Valerie's like, Poirot's like, hello, I'm here. I heard everything.
Then he goes back to Hastings and goes, oh, the case is closed.
Hastings, who's just hanging out in the room where the murder happened.
Yes.
We'll never know what happened. The end.
Yeah, there's no murder. Yeah, there is. It's an accident, but at the very least, it's premeditated manslaughter.
I don't think it's premeditated because he didn't go in there with the intent of hurting him. He did it to defend his sister. So you could say that it's in self-defense, that he was coming to her defense.
Maybe.
I mean, they could easily lie or tell the truth and say that Reed Byrne had grabbed her and was going to hurt her.
I'm not
Ronnie
saying
protected her.
Reed Byrne is a good guy. I'm saying he deserves justice. And the last part at the parade studio is like, all the good people who are white and male have killed all the bad people. So we're all happy now.
And pretty rich people get away with it.
Yeah.
Were you surprised there was a bar at the studio?
No.
I was.
That's where Ralph is.
I know. But when they like kick him off of studio grounds, he just circles around and goes to the bar.
Yes.
Like, why do they have a bar?
I don't know.
I mean, I can see a commissary where you could eat.
And meanwhile, Hastings is like, but what about? And they're like, psh.
Zip it. Jeez, Hastings. It's like you think we solve crimes. Come on.
I don't like the ending.
We're just going to make a movie.
Especially if you take this ending.
And compare it to the Orient Express.
When he's so mad at those people.
Yeah.
Right? I think Christie had a change of thought between those 2 points.
Mm-hmm.
Because this is really the same story.
No, it's not. Because Ronnie didn't intend to kill him.
Okay.
There wasn't a bunch of people premeditated conspiracy to kill him. He didn't stab him a bunch of times. That's different.
Okay. I didn't mean exactly.
See, no, here's what...
There's no train in this episode either.
Here's what I think went wrong. Why this doesn't quite work the way we think it should. We should feel deeply sympathetic for Valerie and for Ronnie. And we should feel bad for them that they were ever in that situation and had to do what they did.
I wish the dad hadn't embezzled a whole bunch of money and they're hiding it.
Yes.
I wish that didn't happen.
Yes.
And I wish that Valerie was more sympathetic. I don't know.
If you take the blackmail away and he's just trying to seduce her and hold that over her for her career, it's a lot better.
It makes it better.
Yeah, because the family doesn't have an ulterior motive against Reed Byrne because it's not that they're just trying to protect Valerie, they're protecting themselves.
Yeah.
And they are guilty
of
embezzlement and changing their name and hiding who they actually are. So the fact that
take all that money.
he's willing to expose them and expose their crimes makes them unsympathetic. If you take that away, and it's just poor Valerie, a woman who's absolutely being abused by her employer.
Yes.
Then it's all much more sympathetic.
And they could have come up with any name. Oglanders is a weird choice. And where they live is a weird choice.
The Willows. Yeah,
because
the fact that
they would
live,
have moved there.
Yeah, but then he comes along and builds Mount Desire next door. Neve Cusack, who plays Valerie, was in Days of Misrule, Midsummer. Yes. Jonathan Coy, who plays Bunny, is in Destroying Angel.
Yes, he is.
Jack Claff, who plays Paul, is in Dead in the Water.
Yep.
He's also in Star Wars, the first one.
Yes.
But we talked about that when he was in the Midsummer.
Yes.
Gone Granger, who plays Ralph, is in A House in the Woods.
Yes. In fact, his picture on IMDb is him in Star Wars.
Avril Elgar, who plays Mrs. Oglander, is in Badger's Drift.
Yes.
So many Midsummer people.
So many Midsummer people. They were really ramping up to Midsummer.
It's like they said, get us the cast of King of Clubs and we'll just put them in the show. Just get them as a set. We'll put them in the show.
I actually think out of all these people, except for the regulars, Sean Petrie is the most famous now.
Pertwee? Yeah, I think so. Though Rosie Timpson, who plays the secretary, who you're not crazy about, Reed Byrne's secretary, was in a movie in 1993 called Farm Safety for Children. And I don't list it as a horrible movie and make you guess. A, because I know you've never seen it.
Never seen it.
And B, because I'm not willing to say it's horrible because it was made for a good reason.
It was probably a good reason. I didn't see any farm safety movies as a kid. I saw a lot of train safety movies.
Well, we talked about one.
They used to come to the school and show us these train safety movies all the time.
Well, and we saw the drunk driving movies.
Well, that was high school. They
Blood on the Highway.
They showed the train ones to us in elementary school.
This one is aimed at that generation, young kids, right?
Yes.
In the 90s. We talked about a movie that's older than this one called Apaches.
Yes.
That's about farm safety. Yes. That scarred a ton of kids, right?
Absolutely.
And maybe that makes it effective. It
all
sticks with you.
All our UK listeners are having flashbacks.
Yeah. Farm Safety for Children is weird. Okay. So these two kids in the 90s.
Yeah.
They're wearing their Technicolor overalls and everything. They got their scrunchies and their jelly shoes.
Is it like on YouTube or something?
Yes.
Okay, I'll put it in the show notes.
They are on a farm and they come across an old grave.
What?
Okay. The grave is for a prior farmer that used to live there.
Wow.
And the farmer and his ghost comes back.
Oh my gosh, this is so weird.
And tells them about 3 children who died on the farm. But they weren't his children.
No.
They were paid laborers who he just kind of let die in all kinds of horrible ways.
Makes me dislike farms more than I already do.
It is traumatic.
Well,
it's not Apache's traumatic, but it's traumatic.
I'll put it in the show notes.
But Miss Deloy, the secretary, is in that movie.
After the credits, are you rich, white, or a man? You get away scot-free. Unless you're poor Hastings. What about justice?
Well, and like Ralph is driving drunk and has an accident. He learned his lesson.
Now he's on set on time and not drunk.
But in a sling. So they had to write a sling into his character, I guess, because he broke his collarbone or whatever.
Got more sex appeal.
He crashed his little car and now he's sober. Even though he's like a good 20 years older than her, he's playing her husband.
Yes.
You know who I feel sorry for? The guy who plays her love interest in the movie.
You mean horse guy?
Yeah. Because all he does is like, I'm trying to seduce you.
Yeah.
And then stop, cut, everybody gets yelled at and he just disappears.
Yeah.
I have an injury on my arm. Stop, cut, everybody screams at each other.
Yep.
Okay.
And that is...
King of Clubs.
King of Clubs.
If only the mother had got all the cards out.
If only,
none of this would have happened.
If only she hadn't went to her house.
Valerie made some bad choices.
You know what's going to happen next week? We're going to have another episode. Called The Dream. Season 1, Episode 10.
It's the Pie Man.
It's the Pie Man.
And I just shoot myself.
He
says it like a gazillion times.
And Poirot hangs out the window and listens
to a whistle going off.
To a whistle going off.
Oh, so many pies.
Pies.
It's when you watch it, let me just give you a little tip. When you watch it, actually look at the pie factory.
Yeah.
And decide whether it's a real pie factory, a factory that actually manufactures something else, or a cobbled together set to make it look like a pie factory. It's very interesting.
I have a good feeling. That's next week, which will be June the 3rd. I cannot believe I just said that.
June.
Yeah. June. We'll have an episode June the 3rd, and then another one on the 10th of June, and then we have to take more time off because we're still too busy.
In the meantime, I want to know, listeners, if you were Valerie, what would you have done?
Yes.
Oglander. Your brother punches your boss and accidentally kills him. What do you do?
And if Peter Frampton's grandfather was a butler,
would he still feel like you do?
And there we have the sound at the start of the episode.
That song goes on forever.
Well, yeah, it's Peter Frampton. It's the 70s.
And his mouth tube.
Prog rock. Okay.
Bye, Maniacs.
Bye, Maniacs. Thanks for joining us on the Mystery Maniacs podcast. If you enjoyed our crazy podcast today, don't miss out on future episodes. Follow us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and exclusive sneak peeks. Subscribe, like, and share to spread the word. Bye, Maniacs. Played by Sean Pete. Played by...
Pertwee.